Welcome to Ask the Dermatologist and Acne Nutritionist, where we answer your acne and skin questions every week. I'm Maria Marlowe, a holistic nutritionist who specializes in helping people clear their skin from within through diet and lifestyle changes.
And hi, I'm Dr. Kira Barr. I'm a dual board certified integrative dermatologist focusing on mind body medicine to help people feel more confident and comfortable in their skin.
So, any acne questions, we are your clear skin coaches. You can drop those in the comments below. But today we are answering the question, does an acne diet really work? So, Dr. Barr, what do you think? What is your experience on how food impacts our skin?
Yeah, I mean, if you had asked me this a couple of years ago, or even when I was in training, which was a little more than a couple of years ago, I would have said it doesn't really matter. That's how we were trained. But we now know there is such a significant correlation between what we eat and not only how we feel, but what shows up on our skin in terms of creating inflammation, right? We know the two big ones, dairy and sugar, have a significant impact for some people, not everybody, but I would say there are many people that if they're struggling with acne and it has not been clearing up, looking at your diet is a really good place to start.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that was my experience as well. Like when I had acne, I had really bad acne, and I was always told that diet doesn't affect my skin. But 4 years into it, when the acne still wouldn't go away, despite trying all the things, someone mentioned diet. I was like, let me experiment. I experimented, my skin cleared up. So, unfortunately for me, dairy is a trigger, and it's very sad because I love cheese. So, dairy was a big one, sugar was a big one, because acne is, after all, an inflammatory condition, which, you know, several years ago, acne was believed to be a bacterial infection, which I think a lot of people still believe that, or think that's what the case is. But we now know that it's inflammatory, and food has a huge influence on our inflammation level. So dairy, sugar, vegetable oils are another one that people don't realize, and those are in a lot of foods, a lot of packaged and processed food. So, just watching your inflammation with what you're eating, and then also making sure you're getting enough nutrients, because there are certain nutrient deficiencies even that are associated with acne, like zinc, for example, vitamin A. And this is, again, not for everybody, but for those people who have a deficiency, simply adding that nutrient back in can start to reduce the acne. So, yeah, I think food is really, really important. And what about, even, I know that you really focus on hormones, and I've done a lot of extra research on hormones, but what about like the food hormone connection?
Yeah, I think, well, when we talk about hormones, we have many hormones in our body. So it's not just, I think when many people think of like hormones, they're just thinking about their sex hormones. But the hormones that we're talking about are insulin, leptin, ghrelin, cortisol. And we're talking about what you eat, right? In terms of dairy and sugar can increase what we call or activate insulin growth factor 1. And then that can directly stimulate your oil glands to produce more sebum and therefore contributing factors to acne formation, dead skin cells, oil production, bacteria, and inflammation. But also, it's what it's why you eat and how you eat that also matters. So when we talk about hormone regulation, there's a lot that goes into this in terms of really paying attention to your body. Are you eating when you're actually hungry? Listening to the signals that your body offers, because leptin and ghrelin, your satiety and your hunger hormones, you could be causing those to go out of balance also. So I think this is a very big topic, I think, in terms of like mindful eating, intuitive eating, and intermittent fasting, which we may decide to do another segment on that. But we are looking at blood sugar regulation, right? So insulin balance, and also talking about our hunger and satiety hormones that contribute, and different foods are going to have different effects on your hormones, like your processed foods, quick sugar, simple carbs are going to create a lot of up and
Fluctuate.
down and
Yeah.
dysregulation.
And it's important to note that it's not just dessert. I think sometimes
Yes.
people think it's only the sugary things, but even, for example, a piece of bread, even like a whole wheat bread, which is made from flour, can absolutely spike your blood sugar even more than, let's say, a peanut, a chocolate covered peanut, or some like dessert kind of a thing.
Right, absolutely. I mean, I think you know better than I do because nutrition is your area of focus, but looking at when we eat things that have a good balance of fat, fiber, and protein to help regulate our blood sugar response, to help balance that interplay of our hormones, to create more of an even keel instead of like that
Down.
spike and dip that'll
Yeah.
create dysregulation in our body, contribute to inflammation. Like our body just doesn't know what to do, and then in many ways that does show up on your skin because it's a stress response. I think we talk about stress a lot, and we'll wind up talking about stress in many different forms um, in other segments. But one of the greatest stressors that we put on our body, and we do it multiple times a day, is eating. So, really being mindful of what we eat, how we eat, and then the foods that we eat to nourish ourselves with the nutrients that you were talking about that are so vital for skin health: vitamin D, zinc, selenium. There are so many, vitamin A. And then also looking at, foods that are anti inflammatory as well.
Hmm. Yeah, I think an anti-inflammatory, low glycemic diet is the best anti-acne diet. I think sometimes people think that, oh, just giving up dairy or even just giving up sugar is an anti-acne diet. And while those factors may be helpful, they're not the full, complete picture. You need to also think about what are you adding in? Are there other inflammatory things that need to go or be reduced? When are you eating, like you said? There's all these different factors. Even we need to think about how these foods are affecting our gut health, and not just foods. Everything really affects our gut health. And with more and more research on the gut microbiome and this gut skin axis, like how our skin and our gut are connected, it's really clear that we need to make sure that we don't have leaky gut. We need to make sure that we have a good balance of bacteria in the gut. So things like fermented foods could help with that, probiotics. Um, uh, Removing the foods that are causing the leakiness or the increased intestinal permeability. So with an anti-acne diet, it's not just one or two things. It's really like the whole complete picture. But if you do reduce the inflammation, if you do keep your blood sugar balanced, if you do heal your gut, you can absolutely clear your skin. That's in my opinion and my experience. It really works, and it works pretty quickly.
Yeah, I would agree as well. I mean, when I was actively practicing, diet was not part of the conversation, but I've got teenagers. And so this is part of our lifestyle now. And it's so interesting when we experiment with foods for my kids, how much more clear their skin gets when we add in a lot of, plant powered, plant forward meals, wide variety, and remove some of the classically inflammatory foods like dairy and a lot of excess added sugars. And I just want to name that, listen, this is a lifestyle. This is not restriction. This is for the rest of your life. So it's not like you can never have dairy per se. It's a matter of your body is a living chemistry lab. Do some experiments.
I
Test things
love
out, take some feedback, right? This is not something that's supposed to be punishment. This is like, hey, from a place of curiosity, I wonder, let me test this out for myself, because what works for you, Maria,
that.
might not work for me, might not work for somebody else. So I really caution against a lot of these very dogmatic um, recommendations that you may hear on
Mhm.
social media, especially. A lot of it is grounded in science, but we are all unique, right? Bio-individuality, and we have to honor that and test it out for yourself. So I hope that you take what we're saying um, as information that you can apply and see if it works for you.
Exactly. I always like to say, be a body detective. Do your own experiments, and you can see. And that's what led me down this path. I mean, I used to eat only junk food, and I loved the junk food. But I could see in the mirror when I ate those foods, my skin was red, inflamed, bumps everywhere. When I ate the vegetables and wild salmon, all of a sudden the redness would go down, the bumps would start to dissipate. And you keep doing these experiments, and you realize, oh, this stuff's not good for me. And the best part of it is that these changes of eating an anti-inflammatory diet, eating a low glycemic diet, they only have positive side effects. So your mood becomes more even keeled. You don't have those mood swings all the time. You don't have those crazy hangry, like hunger pains where you want to, eat anything you see in sight, because you're so hungry and angry at the same time. If you have weight to lose, usually that will help with weight loss. Any sort of conditions, reducing the inflammation and keeping your blood sugar stable is generally going to be beneficial. So,
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, there's so much more that could be said for that, but it is a global impact, right? We're talking about food with the intention to help your skin, but
mhm.
as you just so aptly pointed out, it'll affect your mood and stabilize your blood sugar, which affects your energy and your sleep. And sleep, we know, has a direct correlation to your skin and your mood and then your relationships. It's just like everything is connected. So we start with the one place, but know that the changes you're making are going to have an impact on so many areas of your life that are going to be positive. So it might feel frustrating, like that. Just to reframe, like I don't have to give this up or it's restricted. It's like I'm choosing this particular food because of how I want to feel, right? It's not, I think a lot of times when we have to make some big shifts, if we're used to just eating a lot of dairy or pleasure
Mhm.
foods, that are our go-tos, it can feel really hard at first. So just, a suggestion is just to reframe that you're making this intentional choice. You're choosing to eat in this way because of how it will make you feel, even if you don't have the evidence right now.
Yeah, that's a great point, and it definitely can be a little bit hard and frustrating in the beginning, but the longer you keep it up, the better you feel, the more your skin clears, the more you want to eat those healthy foods, and the less you want to eat the other foods. And in fact, your taste buds actually start to change, like very quickly in weeks or months. Things that you used to love and eat, they'll be too sweet or too salty. Like you'll realize, oh my gosh, it's too much and you don't even want it anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think food is medicine. That is definitely my experience, my opinion. And I think, does an acne diet really work? I'll say yes, it worked for me. It's worked for my clients. And yeah, so I would say thumbs up from me. It sounds like you would agree.
I thumbs up for me as well. And also, um, again, this is not a sprint, this is the marathon. So I think we would both agree that things like this take time. Even if you're in a dermatologist's office and you were given a prescription, we always would say it can take several months to actually see an improvement. Now, you might find that you see an improvement in your mood and your energy from changing the way you eat quite quickly, but don't get discouraged. Stick with it. This is a long term play. This is a lifestyle. This is for the rest of your life. It's worth it.
Yes. And give yourself 90 days. Give yourself 90 days to do your experiment. And then you can decide, do you want to keep it up? Or do you want to ditch it? But give it your all for 90 days. And my guess is that after the 90 days, you'll want to keep it up.
Yeah. And I would conjecture, like, take a photo. Take a photo when you start this experiment and take a photo in the middle and ideally at the end. You may be surprised. Oftentimes, because we're seeing our face every day in the mirror, we may not notice the change, but you'll be shocked. I guarantee you, if you stick with it, if you're diligent, you'll be pleasantly surprised when you snap those photos and see the difference.
Well, if you guys have any additional questions on skin and acne, be sure to leave them in the comments below, and we will catch you next week.
For more holistic skincare tips from us, check out our Glow from Within guide, which includes a delicious 3-day meal plan and stress reduction techniques for glowing skin from within. You can get it at the link in the description box below.